I lost Joaquin at the Parkland shooting in 2018 on Valentine's Day.
When you get that call and you get that news, I know you said you didn't say anything to anyone. At what point did you tell your husband?
Never. I never wanted to be that truth. I never ask God why. I always ask what for.
What did you notice between your dynamic and moving forward from that day? I want to thank you again for talking with me. I know this is a very important topic. Of course, for a lot of people, let alone a personal story with you. So if there's anywhere you want to start with what happened that day or your son, however you feel comfortable sharing the story, we can get going from there.
Well, ask me questions and I will respond to questions.
Beautiful. Well, I mean, tell me about your son. Tell me what happened. If you want to start that day or whatever took place, please just feel free to take the reins now.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm Patricia Oliver, and I'm the proud mom of Joaquin Oliver. I lost Joaquin at the Parkland shooting in 2018 on Valentine's Day. So he just left home that day and went to school very happy. Manuel usually was the one who was driving him to school. That is just 3 miles away from home. And he was bringing flowers to his girlfriend. He was so excited because that was his official Valentine's Day celebration. And he was supposed to be going on to the movies at that night. So, well, here we are on that day in the afternoon. That day was Ash Wednesday, I remember, because I went to church that day to get on my lunchtime the ashes. And when I went back to my office, I opened my laptop and I was having lunch on my desk. And then I read on Facebook from one of my friends that was saying that it was a red coat at school. So I texted her and I asked her, so what happened? What is that red coat? Because, I'm not from here and I didn't know, thank God, till that day, what those coats were meant to be. And that's what she said, no, that is a shooting at school. So I called Joaquin, that was around 2:20, and he didn't answer the phone. I texted him, he didn't reply. So I called my husband, Manuel, that he was closer from where I was working. I work in Miami, so it's like 50 miles away from home. And I told him what was going on. So he asked me, what do you want me to do? I think that you should go to school to see what's going on. So meanwhile, he was going to school. I started driving home. And that's how everything started. So I started seeing the helicopters, flying around. And I just went back to the movies moment that when you see helicopters, that's something that is very close from that area happening. And so I calculate myself, okay, so I need to get off in a different exit than the one that I used to, because maybe that is all packed and all blocked. And that's what I did. So I got to meet Manuel at the city of Parkland. From there, they didn't allow us to take the car. So we started walking through the point that we were supposed to go. And that's when the cops approaches us and say, well, there's no more way that you can keep going walking. I think that the best thing that you can do is go to the hospital and check if something's going on. Or there is a hotel that is bringing everybody to that place.
So where's your head at this point? I mean, at this moment, leading up to it, not knowing what's going on, where was your head at this point? Where was your heart?
I am very pragmatic. And, I just was focused on get there. I was calculating everything, how much memory I had on my phone, how much gas I had to get there, how many calls I'm going to take, because, of course, they keep calling me. My brother called me because my nephew was at the middle school next to the high school. And he told me, okay, no worries. We know about my nephew. Now my wife is going there to check on Joaquin. Okay. So, but I started calculating that everything that I was doing was worth, because I didn't want to run out of my battery. And then I called Joaquin's friends. They answered the phone. And they say, no, we are on the other side of the school. But somebody told us that they saw Joaquin on the other side of the school. So you don't know which side they were talking about. They were talking about side because they were nervous too. And so then we went to the hospital. We didn't find him. And that's when Manuel told me, that something wrong is going on. I said a yes, but I didn't, I didn't want to accept that as an option. Mm-hmm. So then we went to the hotel that is very close by us, and kids from school was starting getting off from buses, and Joaquin wasn't coming. So
was it at that point you had to feel like the reality was starting to kick in?
No. I never, ever accept that as an option. Even by 1:30 in the morning already, we are talking about that we started like 3:30 when I got here, and all the, the checkpoints that we checked didn't have Joaquin there. And when we went to the hotel, friends were coming, and they were testifying, and they were saying that they saw Joaquin. Then I got from Joaquin's girlfriend. She told me, I have something to tell you. Do you want to hear it? Of course. Someone saw Joaquin on the floor with blood. And I say, well, okay, that could be true, but that also could be true that maybe he was injured. And then he took them to the hospital. So I was really on denial. I never accepted that was a possibility, a true possibility. Then by 1:30 in the morning, another mom, a friend of Joaquin's mom, called me out of nowhere. I know that you're not expecting my phone call, but I need you to tell you the truth. Somebody has to tell you the truth, and it's that Joaquin is one of the victims. And I say, thank you so much. I hung up the phone. I didn't say anything to anyone. I was just waiting. My hope was there till the very last minute, till the end.
And what about your husband at this point? What was because I remember you told me a little while ago in regards to him having a little bit of a different instinct in regards to what was going on. So up to that point, what was the communication with your husband?
No, he was really concerned. He was very excited, mad. And it was a point by midnight that he started screaming to the police department, to the cops that they were there, that how come they kept giving us Cokes, water, blankets, and pizzas. And that wasn't a disaster. That is something that is not considered a disaster. We just need to know where is Joaquin. So I think right after he started screaming that to them, they start like, okay, so it is time, because we were there from maybe 6 in the afternoon till almost 3 o'clock in the morning. And they kept us there. And in the meantime, they were asking me for pictures of Joaquin. And that's the picture that you see of Joaquin everywhere. That's the official picture that went out there, because there were media in front of the school. And one of the moms called me, send me a picture because we're going to declare Joaquin missing. And that's how that picture went out. So, yeah, he was very out of control, of course. But I'm more like, I try to control myself. I don't know, the nervous put me down very low. And I couldn't accept that as an option.
Yeah. I mean, without, ever being in your shoes or understanding the situation, it's just like, I feel like it's just a tunnel vision. I mean, your son's involved in something like this, your body to feel like can just go into autopilot and do whatever it takes just to find your son. So when you get that call and you get that news, I know you said you didn't say anything to anyone. At what point did you tell your husband?
No, never. I never told him, because right away the FBI called us, like maybe 15, 20 minutes after. I kept that phone call to myself. I say, no, I'm not going to take that answer. I don't want to take that option either. I really was in denial. I never wanted to be that truth.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that anyone wants to hear, and for something that you guys had to go through that for a child, and I've said this many times over the podcast. There's no stuff to make a hierarchy of loss, but when it comes to a child, that's I don't know what's more of a bigger challenge than that. So if you'd ever told your husband, he found out 20 minutes later or so. What was the next day? Like, did you feel in the same position of just kind of still and not, I don't want to say not vocal, but you weren't feeling like the acceptance was there?
I was numb. I said, what's going on? So I didn't understand. I didn't get it. I didn't want to get it, actually. I think today I can tell you, after all these years, I can tell you I didn't want to get that was a reality. And I remember Joaquin's friends coming by noon that day. They were devastated. And the only thing that I was reasonable to say was, you know what? Joaquin was taken from us on the streets, so meaning outside our home. We have to do something in the same way that they took us from us. I didn't want to do, I didn't know anything, but I'm just the kind of person when I'm being putting against the wall and having those news that you don't want to hear, but you have to keep going. So that negativity takes the strength enough for me to be able to move forward on certain levels. In this case, particularly because we're talking about Joaquin, talking about a kid that I say I love you that day in the morning, that he was supposed to be coming back home. So it's a different situation from, every single type of loss hurts. Like your loss. So my loss is that I had a kid that he was killed. He was killed. He wasn't doing anything wrong. Not that I left him go somewhere and I wasn't sure what was that kind of place. No, he was at his school where he was supposed to be safe and happy because that was his happy place. Being at school for him was happiness. And I'm going to be understanding from overnight that this happened.
Yeah, of course not.
No, to me it was really hard. So I was going on, but at the end of the day I say, why am I doing this? Why is this so, it has to be real? So I was, just debating to myself for a very long time.
Yeah, and I'm not relating any of the situations between you and mine because they're not the same, but they're, I can never relate to anyone's story. I can only relate so much. You know what I mean? Like you lose someone, okay, that's the camaraderie, but it's totally different experiences. But in regards to mine, I'm not sure if you know or not, but my dad died on September 11th. So there's that weird idea that something like this can happen. You know what I mean? Like obviously two different things, but at the same time, like the shock value, not only when someone dies suddenly without any warning or anything of the sort like that, it's just that shock value in the way that these two situations happen when 9/11 and a school shooting. It's just one of those things like, what do you mean? It's just like a what do you mean situation. How does that happen? And let alone why does that happen? That's something that we'll get into. But yeah, there's no expectation to accept that immediately. It was just, I'm just interested in hearing where your mindset was, because I've had people on this podcast that have lost children. And again, this is just, if there was ever one that is very difficult to accept, it's losing a child. And it's so fascinating, the point that you made, that he wasn't doing anything wrong. It wasn't a decision that as a parent you look back on and say, I should have done this, should have done that. He was in school. He was in school, just like you said, somewhere to be safe. So that, outside of losing your child, I'd see how that is something you got to work out outside of just the fact that you lost your son.
Definitely. And it took me a while.
I don't want to skip too much of the storyline because I am interested in the dynamic between, your family, you and your husband, about how you navigate that, because I feel like that is an integral part of any kind of child loss are the parents and the dynamic between the two. So what did you notice between your dynamic and moving forward from that day?
Okay, Manuel was very, he was just trying to put all the pieces together. And how come we're going to be dealing with this in a way that we can create something different besides carrying the pain? So we were surrounded by good friends. And these good friends of ours are, one is into the creative world, the other is into finances, and the other one is another creative. So they came home, they were talking a lot, and they start thinking about, okay, we need to create an organization. I didn't have the head to be thinking ahead of my pain, ahead of what my new reality, what kind of things I was supposed to be doing next. So I remember that we were in a meeting in his office, because his office was really, really, really supportive. And we were having this conversation about open the organization and the name of the organization. And I remember that I have to leave the room because I say, why are they insistent that we have to do this? So that's what I'm saying, that it was, for me, was really shocking about accepting that I have to do something because Joaquin wasn't here. So it took my feelings to get there a lot, but nevertheless, I was there. So I beat that moment and I kept going. So that's when we created the organization, Change the Ref. And Change the Ref is because Joaquin played basketball and he loved it. The referee was kind of mean sometimes, and he just decided to talk bad about the coach sometimes after the game. And he was saying that we have to change the ref because he's not doing the right calls on the right moment. So that's how we became with that name, because he said, okay, we have to call it some way. They have to be related to Joaquin. Everything we do is related to Joaquin. So we want just to keep saying and doing what Joaquin was supposed to be doing, because he already was doing, kind of social work through his tweets, through his posts, through his essays. And we learn a lot about that. And that's how we create the organization. And Manuel was just focused on that. And that I think from there he got his strength. And all he can think or talk about it was about that. He had no different conversations. So between us, I was very quiet. Every time I had to have an interview, I have to take anti-anxiety pills, because to me, it was awful. I did it, but it took me something to get there, to sit down and to keep talking again and again and again about something that I didn't want to accept. But Manuel was all the way into it till today.
And so do you personally find, you have something to work towards? Do you feel like it's a redirection of purpose in a sense? You know what I mean? Because I feel like when sometimes when we lose someone, let alone a child, that you're not just losing a person, you're kind of losing purpose in a sense due to the relationship that you have with that person, especially a child. It's a parent's responsibility and duty to look after the child. So there's a big gap there outside of the fact of who they are. So did you see this as an opportunity at some point as a redirection of your energy and a redefinition of your purpose in life that helped you heal?
Absolutely, 100%. I used to work in the paper industry, so that's totally different from what I'm doing today. I used to sell carton board around South America, going to the mills and selling machines to make packaging. So that was a totally different story. For Manuel, I call him Monchi, it was really kind of the same thing he was doing. He turned the purpose into Joaquin's mission, to the Change the Ref Joaquin's mission. Because Manuel is a creative, and he used to work for Joe Monemasa, which is a guitar singer, a blues guitar singer. And he was in charge. He was the creative director of his company. So let's say that to me was a 360 degrees change. Besides that, I'm not the kind of person that is outspoken, that I like to bring attention. I don't like that. I don't like to everybody being looking at me and just talking to them. That makes me very nervous. Even when I was in college. So every time I have to explain my project, I got red, and my friends just were teasing me and say, okay, move on. So this is kind of happening right now. So I'm doing a lot better than 7 years. Last year, I think every year I've been doing a lot better. I've been feeling more comfortable, talking out loud, be here with you. So this is, and also between Manuel and I, we know what we have to talk about. Manuel doesn't like to talk about grieving. That's his weakest part. To me, it's like a healing exercise. So that's the difference between us. So that is a complement between the two of us. Our strengths, they come together. That's another change in our life. because we as a couple used to work in totally different directions. As any other family, we just go out in the day and we were just getting together at the night. And now we work together 24/7. So that was another process during the healing process that, how to live with us together. And it went great. It went good. Mm-hmm. We learned how to convive.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big difference between spending all day together as opposed to having some time off as a relationship going to work, which sometimes can be good. Sometimes you want to be next to each other. I can see that aspect too. But outside of I want to get into the work. I want to learn more about that and then the mission and everything you're doing. But before I get into that, outside of this work and the mission and finding repurposing of energy and during the healing process, if you will, though who knows if we ever fully heal, what else, was there anything else that you found either difficult or something that worked for you during this process? Or did you just continue was there any specific ways of conversing with your husband, even though I know you said he doesn't seem to focus on that as much or when it comes to talking about the grief, but I'm just trying to find something that maybe potentially you have found that may help someone else that has lost a child, perhaps in a different way or just in general. Was there anything over the last 7 years or so that you found that has helped you outside of the work?
Yes, I feel a lot of relief that I can give something to somebody. And not on the same direction. So we're talking about me losing a son on a shooting. I've been seeing different moms coming to me that they feel more relief because what I think about them, that they think about me, is that they see that I have a lot of strength because I went through that, and they can share with me situations that they're going through their life that I can be helpful. So I've been having situations that, other moms have been coming to me and they've been losing their kids through different situations from a shooting, and they feel that I can give that strength. And I feel that that's something that through the years is something that I can give to others in order to be able to move forward and, to create out of this emptiness something positive, because I am a positive person. So for me, it's hard to look in a positive way, the way I lost Joaquin. Of course, there's no positive way to see it. But I've been gaining through this time that I learned that besides being Joaquin's voice, I've been my own voice. Being my own voice, I'm being able to reflect that to others, and they feel comfortable coming to me, even if it's a teenager or, young adult. They feel comfortable coming to me and talking to me about their own problems. They are unrelated to a loss. It's just their regular life that they're going through different situations that, they feel comfortable talking to me. And I love that. I really love that. I feel every time a kid approaches me is Joaquin approaching me too at the same time.
That's beautiful. And, that's definitely a consistency that I found with, part of this process that is grief and these wild experiences that show up in life, is that it seems to be acts of service. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be in this it doesn't have to be in this big way where it's, and I've said this before on the show, it doesn't have to be this massive successful foundation, which is amazing that you're doing. My whole point of saying that is it's just kind of the way we interact with people, even if it's the little things that we do and it's helping other people, whether it relates to your experience or not, that giving ends up being the most receiving. I don't read the Bible, but it sounds pretty biblical, but you get, when the more you give, the more you get kind of thing. And it just seems to be such an intricate part of the healing, let alone your focus on being so specific to your experience. But when you say that they see you as kind of a beacon of strength, is there any, I'm sure it's a case by case basis, of course, but is there anything in specifically that you say to them in this case? Of course, like I said, I mentioned everyone's experience is different. So you're not going to say the same thing, but is it just that they see you, okay, she's still here today after what she experienced? That is the focus point of the strength they see in you?
Yes, I think so. And as I said, they don't come to me also just because they lost someone. No, is totally random. Maybe they're having issues with the girlfriend or with the boyfriend or at school, or they don't know what to do. And they feel that they have to come, they feel comfortable talking to me. And I feel so excited and so happy. That makes me happy that I'm 58. And the kids, usually they don't want to talk to adults because you don't know nothing. But they want to talk to me. And that it makes me, that fills my heart. And it fills my heart because I wasn't looking for that. I'm looking, I'm having with them a nice, friendly relationship. But they feel comfortable talking to me about their own issues, that what I'm saying are totally unrelated, that they feel comfortable talking to me and exchanging with me and having from me an advice. I love that. Right. So it's beyond grieving.
Yeah, no, sometimes it's as simple as that. It's so bizarre. And that's not bizarre at all. It makes sense, but it's just as the little things like you just mentioned. And more importantly, what I wanted to say is that your application of your experience and your strength, how it applies to so many different facets of life and not just the grief in which we're discussing. And that's such a poignant point that I've been trying to make on the show. I realized for myself is that all these conversations through stories like yours and people that have lost someone or survived or this, that, and the other, people have asked, it's probably helped you so much with your grief with your father. I'm like, well, I mean, that was 25 years ago. I've had a long journey already, but it's applied the way I live my life through my relationships, whether intimate or not intimate, through just the way I live my life. So it's not always just the grief. So it's the power of these conversations in regards to your experience and the strength it takes to get through this. That same strength applies to the way we move through our life and have to deal with all the other obstacles that come with it. I am interested in, through this process, it's been 7 years. Of course, that continues to evolve. And, I'm sure you will tell me without assuming anything about your experience, it has its ups and downs. Sometimes grief just shows up randomly when you think you're having a good day. And that's part of the process. And that's okay. It's not going to be consistent. But I think there's little wins that we get along the way. And you might start to feel a little bit better. It's never perfect. But I think there's just, maybe when you were upset for you being the general when you're upset for 2 months, now maybe it's a month. And then after some time, okay, now it's 2 weeks. And now I can control it for a day and then just feel crappy for a little bit and I can work through it because now you understand the process. So I just wonder where you are today, 7 years later, comparatively to when this experience happened.
Well, as you said, there's not a specific moment that takes you down. It's a random day that you're just low. You don't wanna talk. I don't want to talk. Maybe I don't want to leave the house when I'm here at home. There's some days that usually when we have events that we have to talk about a lot about what happened, because that's what we mainly do. At the end of the day, I get very exhausted. So both of us. And we don't even want to talk to each other. We are just so tired to be talking that we just watch TV and the TV talks to us. But it's random, every day is a different day. Every year is being a different year. I've been noticing that through time. Of course, the serenity is more with you. And every birthday, we don't allow each other to be sad at all because Joaquin loves his birthday. So we propose ourselves that every single birthday we're gonna smile. And we're going to have fun. We have to, because that's what he wants. The pain is still there. I think the way it is being transforming is the way you deal with it. And how far do you want, or how deep do you want to go with that pain? Sometimes what I think is better is to go down, 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 down that day. And the day after, I am just fully recovering. And I keep going with my regular routine.
Understood. And do you have any specific beliefs in regards to, I don't know if you religious or spiritual, whatever you want to call it. Do you have any specific ideology or thoughts or beliefs in regards to what happens next? Or does that have any correlation to how you carry through life?
Yeah, I am very spiritual. I pray a lot. I never ask God why. I always ask what for. Because the first question, never going to have an answer. But the second question, I could have highlights here and there, signs that I can follow. And that's what I've been doing since then. I have also a medium that she's Canadian, and she became a good friend. And that's been helping me a lot because I get a lot of messages from Joaquin randomly. I never ask. She just say, okay, I saw Joaquin in the morning. I saw Joaquin last night, and he was carrying a flower. He was seeing you having a drink, or, he's very into everything we do. And he sent messages to let us know once again that he's watching us. And I love that. For example, the campaign that we're rolling now with Lush, he's been just sending messages with flowers, and this is the best campaign that we have done, that's so beautiful. And it's very him, that campaign. It's very him because he loves flowers, he loves smells, and, that's something that it fills my heart. And I'm always going to be open to anything that brings me some kind of information about Joaquin. I love that. And it makes me smile, and it makes me laugh, and it makes me understand and see how is he's doing up there, how is he maturing in terms of what kind of food he's eating, the music that he's still playing. He sent me music. So those kind of little things, they fills my heart a lot. And I preserve that, and I conserve them very close to my heart. So every time I get a message, I look for the right moment that I'm going to have, my me time, and I can read it, and I can smile, and I can search about the song that he sent me. I love that. So I take it as a part of my grief process. It's been helping me a lot.
Yeah, I wonder if there's always the blend of, because I believe in that stuff, and especially however it feels, then that's enough. And it's a blend of knowingness that he's okay, but then also the longing for having that that human touch, that human connection, that real physicality that we have from a day-to-day basis with humans across the world. So that's the battle, not a battle for lack of better words. It's just it's comforting because you have that, but at the same time, then you don't have this. So that's the controversy between that. Like it feels good. Like some people move on with that and say, oh no, he's okay right now, this, that, and the other, but it doesn't fill the void of that physical touch, that hug and whatnot.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But what are so do you have any specific, I know you just shared some of the messages, but how does that work exactly? Was that through the medium, or you've had experiences yourself where something comes through?
Well, I've been having dreams, very vivid dreams. For example, one of those dreams was that I was sleeping and I felt that someone was looking at me. So I opened my eyes and I thought that it was Monchi because there's the two of us here at home. And then nobody was there. I turned around, it wasn't next to me, and I felt it that he was standing next to me. I say, this is incredible. He made me feel like that. And that made my day, and I was so happy. So I take those little things because I get into the point that why I have to get those messages instead of being Joaquin next to me or in front of me or over the phone or by text. Of course, I have those moments. Of course, that's the ideal. Of course, that I will die to be seeing Joaquin, whatever he's doing. I would love to see that right now, even if it's from there. And that's what I've been trying to learn. Since this happened, I really got a lot of books, but I picked the books who were telling me how he will be doing there on heaven. So being in heaven, what's going on there? Once you get there, what's going on? What's happened? And that's what I really wanted to know, because he's my son. I'm his mom. I need to know exactly what's going on. From here, from there, from anywhere. I want to know.
I have a mother that's not so different in many ways, so I love that. So I do want to understand, the work you're doing, because obviously, in the way that took place in Parkland, it's a very heated conversation in many ways, outside of just the victims and the parents have to go through the real depth of it. So tell me about your work a little bit and what you're doing in regards to how it relates to what took place with your son, and what's your stance on this whole situation moving forward, and how it could be prevented, or this, that, and the other.
Yeah, well, we do a lot of social work. Our organization is pretty small. We are the two of us. We have 5 volunteers on social media, and we have 6 people on our board. So basically, we don't want to keep saying what everybody's saying, going through stats, be rhetoric about the same conversation over and over. We attack the problem on social activations. So we do a lot of art. We have a lot of campaigns aligned with the advertising industry. We've been doing a lot of work with the kids everywhere, so we activate everybody, and the campaigns are really easy to put everywhere we go. We usually launch a campaign on Valentine's Day to honor that day, and on Joaquin's birthday. So lately we have 2 artificial intelligence campaigns. One is Joaquin in deepfake, and the other one is Joaquin's voice, calling for everyone to call the representative to ask for changing the laws of gun violence. So we are on the side that we want to see changes in the law. So we want to be the red flags law. We want to see the ban assault weapons. I know that we are in a very specific and special time that we cannot get through that easy, but the message have to keep sending in different ways out there. So that's what we're doing. So we're doing the campaign now with Lush about the lawsuit for survival. So that's the only legal, it's not a campaign, it's a fact. So we introduced that lawsuit 2 years ago at the Organization of American States. So that's our legal part of everything that we have done so far. And with the artificial intelligence, we've been working a lot because what we want the most is to follow Joaquin's steps. And Joaquin, because he was very concerned about gun violence, he posted a lot about that. We had a lot of conversations here at home when the Vegas shooting happened. I was in Vegas, not that day, but I came the day before. He was concerned when Sandy Hook happened. He was little, but I still knew it. He was a Twitter guy. So he was tweeting and retweeting everything he was thinking about. That's what we follow today. So we have a school bus also that we visit different cities and we do little activations there. We use this as a huge tool because the bus itself it sends a message. And also we have a play that is about Joaquin's life. There is a one-man show that Manuel's plays as him. He talks about our life before and after what happened to Joaquin. So what I do in all this stuff, I sending messages. I do a lot of talks. It's about supporting people, supporting kids. They always ask us to be there everywhere. So we follow what we have planned, but besides that, we follow what we are requested to do also. We want to be everywhere as much as we can for everyone. Even if we haven't seen much changes on the gun laws, we've been seeing a lot of concerns and a lot of people being, conscious about the problem of gun violence. If we don't talk about it, because it's not an easy topic to talk, it's a tragedy. It's tragic because usually the people that mostly talk is because they went through something. And it's not an easy way to put out there, but we're trying our best, with creativity and the way that we put out the campaigns there. We've been getting a different audience. And that's how I think the movement has grown.
Well, I love that. In regards to your statement before about asking God, you don't ask God why, you ask what for. I think the what for seems to be at least relatively clear with all the work you're doing, or at least part of many what fors and everything you're doing. So I appreciate that. So I do want to ask, we don't have to get too into if you find it beneficial for your foundation. I'm just curious. So what is the end? Obviously the end goal is to minimize gun violence, but what is the major step? Just like, what is the main goal from to accomplish that goal? Like, is it to get rid of certain laws? Or is it to reduce the amount of guns, make it more strict, or is it just to get rid of them? Like, what is the actual definition of that?
No, the actual definition is to get those laws passed. Because get rid of 400 million of guns, that's going to be a different story once we get those laws passed. So we need to get a way to get to there's those buyback, for example, that they have here and there sometimes. We have to create something bigger than that. But I think, first of all, what is most important right now is to pass those laws, to make people feel more secure, because we were talking this a lot of times about to keep your gun in a safe storage. I think people that has guns, that is responsible, they want to keep those guns locked. So we have to create a way to increase that information to other gun owners and to those that don't believe in anything because they just get stuck in the Second Amendment and they think that the Second Amendment, that's it. They don't need anything more than the Second Amendment and they're gone. We need to just pursue those conversations to be able to be understanding about what we are looking for. So this is a hard work. It's a long-term work that doesn't, we just have been here on this road for 7+ years. And this is something that maybe I won't be able to see it, but at least the steps are already there. There is a lot of information. There is a lot of support that people can follow and can get inspired and can bring a conversation anywhere they are, because this is happening everywhere, in any community, any kind of work you do. You have to have these conversations, even in college.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think that in general, there's a lot of conversations that I have in different angles, but it's just talking about it. At least it gets the dialogue going, and trying to do it with cool heads, because obviously something in this topic, when you look in the media and everything else, it can get a little hot where it doesn't become a conversation. It just seems like it becomes screaming at each other. So it's amazing to see the work you're doing and doing in the way that you are. So I commend you for that. And at the same time, keeping your son alive during this whole process. Mm-hmm. So I want to thank you for this opportunity to talk with me. For anyone that's listening, I'll get links to plug all the work you're doing and anything else you want me to share so people can find you and the work you're doing easily. If there's anything else you feel like you haven't said that you want to say, if anything at all, the mic is yours right now. Should you have anything else you want to drop on us?
I think that we don't have to lose hope, because it doesn't seem that everything is moving forward, but we have to keep believing. It's hard, but we have to. That's the only thing we have left. And let's just keep our word very clear and loud. Don't start any fights, any confrontations, because that's what some people want us to be in, and that's not the purpose of all this movement and process. So I think that, we work with the heart. Maybe that would sound very, rhetoric, but I think it makes it work when you connect to others through the heart. So when you tell the stories, because I bet that I'm not the only one here, that because I'm talking today doesn't mean that I'm the only one that one listener or two listeners been going through, or maybe they know somebody that went through these kind of situations. Don't be afraid to put the conversation on the table and just, go to the middle line and share what you think is best for all of us. This is not an individual issue. This is a social issue. This is affecting us all the way, everyone.
Of course. And then that's the part that makes it frustrating. Like this, I can't stand I understand it is, you have to get the legislation involved. There's a lot of political parts that are involved with it, but at the end of the day, that we're talking about lives. Talking about children's lives, let alone other people's lives and all the other gun violence. So it's just the topic at hand, regardless of people's stances. It's just conversation never hurt unless you start fighting, like you said. So let's not do that. But Patricia, I really appreciate your time. Thank you again for having the courage to do everything that you do and share your son's story and your family's story. I know it's going to help some people out there, as you already have. So Thank you for the opportunity. And for those of you, again, that are new to the show or been on the show, just check out the links in the descriptions. I'll share links for everything that you're doing if you want to find more of the work. And until next time, thank you for being here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Dead Talks. Please do not forget to hit the subscribe button and also the notification bell. That'll give you updates as to when we post a new video, more episodes, and more content in general. We are streaming in all the major podcast platforms, including Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and all that. And also find us on Instagram at Dead Talks Podcast or www.deadtalks.net. Thank you so much.